Regardless of what pop culture media you choose to consume, there's probably a fandom around that subject matter. And within that fandom, there's a very loud minority who try to gatekeep, spread hate, or just kind of prove their knowledge about the subject regardless if anyone asked or not. And every fandom has their bad opinions, right? The new Pokemon look stupid and have stupid names. The sequel trilogy have no redeeming qualities. Batman solos everyone with prep time. The Snyder Cut is God's gift to humanity. Marvel has sucked since Endgame. I think you get the point. Now, there are a few problems with what these people are saying, like for one, these are their opinions. But they aren't really treated as opinions, are they? They're treated as personal truths, and if you have a different opinion that goes against their personal truths, they kind of lash out denying the viability of your opinion. Also, I feel like with TikTok, YouTube, and any other form of social media, people can just cling on to other people's opinions and go forward as if it's their own just to be on one side or the other of an argument or of a discussion. Like, just look at me, for example. I'm giving my opinions on the internet just like literally anyone else has the ability to do, but these are my opinions, and if you feel different, then good. I'm happy for you. Now let's bring it back to Marvel fandom for a little bit. There are two different communities that I feel in the Marvel fandom, like the ones who read the comics and the ones who don't. Now, if you get your comic knowledge from YouTube videos explaining events in the comics, it's not quite the same as you reading the comics yourself, unless you're listening to someone who does full story covers by like Comics Explained or someone along those lines. You know, someone who reads the comics. Now, I am one of those who read the comic books, and on my own, I have about 400 paper issues in a cabinet that sits behind my desk. Now, that being said, what is the obsession with people wanting things to be so comic accurate? I can understand wanting your favorite characters to be represented on the big screen the way that you read them in the comics. However, what is so bad about taking that character that you love and then just shoving them in a new creative direction? As long as they are written well and fit in the context of the overall narrative, then I'm okay with them changing aspects of a character just for the movie adaptations. You know which characters are different than their comic book counterparts? Pretty much all of them. Thor is actually one of my favorite characters to read. He's also one of my favorite characters to watch, but both of them are vastly different characters from one another. And I don't care that those characters are so different, I actually enjoy the vastly different directions that they can take the same character. Oh, you like Thanos? Well, he's different in the comics. Oh, did you like Heath Ledger's Joker? Yeah, he's different in the comics. Wolverine. Yeah, he's different in the comics as well. There is also like a pact mentality when it comes to hating Marvel projects as soon as they release. Like the general public will say a movie is trash that has no redeeming qualities. Like Eternals or Black Widow or Captain Marvel. People are so adamant about telling you that the movie is utter garbo to the point where their personality kind of revolves around the fact that they just don't like these movies. There's no redeeming qualities. None. None in any of these movies. Really. What about this scene?
Can you turn into a cat?
What's a cat?
What about a filing cabinet?
Why would I turn into a filing cabinet?
That's a pretty funny scene. Then you have people who hate on Brie Larson for whatever reason, and sure, she may have opinions that you don't believe in or, that are different than yours, but guess what? Those are her opinions. So who cares? Go watch her in this video. It's actually pretty hilarious. If you go through life and you turn your nose to any differing opinions, you will never learn or grow out of the single-minded individual that you've become. It might not change your opinion, but you'll get to gain perspective on other people's, which goes a long way. Or let's look at Black Widow. Black Widow has some really cool fight scenes with Taskmaster. Now, was it the Taskmaster that we wanted from the comics as a comic fan? No. However, the choreography was pretty good. And Eternals. Eternals showed us the Celestials, and they were amazing. Like the sheer size of them alone, and the way they teleport using creating galaxies and stuff. Like, come on, dude. No redeeming qualities? None? It's like when people see you enjoying something that they didn't enjoy, they need to let you know how much they didn't enjoy it and how badly they think it's garbage, because if you don't change your opinion to think that it's garbage, that means you're garbage, just because your opinions didn't match. Oh, who would have thought, guys? We're all a little bit different. Also, something that the fandoms do, before something even airs, people are complaining about how terrible something looks or the concept behind it or the reason they're not going to like it and they're not going to watch it before it's even come out. Ms. Marvel is a good example. Personally, I haven't watched it yet, but even when it was just announced that they were changing her powers, every neckbeard with a Wi-Fi connection were complaining that they changed her powers when they don't even read the comic books.
But her powers were directly tied to her story arc.
Okay, yes, she would change her appearance to look like a white blonde girl because she thought that was the typical superhero look. But did they not watch the trailer? She literally says the little brown girl from Jersey isn't the superhero look. It's the exact same story arc, so why are you complaining about the powers being changed? I honestly do not care how they change comic book characters and adapt them to the big screen as long as they are written well. Thanos is completely different, but his character in Infinity War was beautifully constructed. Cletus Cassidy kind of looks the same from his comic book counterpart, sort of, but I think the writing and the acting for that character was pretty terrible, so if Cletus Cassidy was played by an elderly Japanese woman, I wouldn't care as long as the writing was better. The general public is so adamant about complaining because they think it's a lot cooler for them to be on the outside of the bubble of something that is popular and people enjoy, just so they can trash on it the entire time. Or it's more like whatever opinion is more popular, they're just kind of gravitate towards rather than coming up with their own conclusions about something. With someone like me who is a huge fan of comic books and just movies in general, I try to find the most likable traits in even the worst films because that's way better than going into every movie with a negative attitude, because of course the movie is going to have some sort of issues. Every movie is going to have some kind of issue. But do you know what isn't an issue? Comic book movies not being a page-by-page mirror adaptation of the comic story that is written about. It's even funnier that people who don't even read the comics complain about issues as a large mass of a singular voice instead of picking out the things that they themselves did not like about a film.
No, I didn't like that scene. This movie sucks. That actor is not who I imagined playing insert character name here, so obviously it's gonna be garbage.
Moving a little bit away from Marvel, I'm not a huge Star Wars fanatic, but I do think it's a cool concept. I haven't seen any of the sequel trilogy, which I've heard nothing but negative reviews about. I'm sure that they have some or even a lot of problems, but there are definitely things in those films that I would enjoy. I watch Kenobi every week as it released, and I went to work to talk about it to my friends, but I was pretty much the only one who had positive notes to say about it. Yes, the chase scenes were poorly made, and yes, there were certain things that didn't make sense, but can you not just sit and enjoy something that a lot of people put a lot of effort into making for you rather than scrutinizing every little small detail that you didn't like? With a world filled with a lot of negative energy, I'd like to be able to just sit down and watch my favorite characters go on screen and do some stunts, make some jokes, go through tough losses and triumphs without walking out of the theater to a bombardment of poor reviews from people who complain about the smallest details. We get it, Daddy never hugged you enough. Now can you go sit down and watch your favorite show or movie that was made back in the good old days and just let us people who don't have smooth brains enjoy some fun cinema experiences? If you're offended, I don't really care. If you don't like my opinion, well that's fine, it's my opinion. If you want to write a hate comment, well thanks for helping the YouTube algorithm. I just think people have been so caught up in the negative that they don't even look for positives anymore. Keep your chin up, learn to smile and laugh a little bit with one another, and open your mind up to new possibilities. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Now go find something to do that will make you or someone else smile. Peace!